What's up, guys? Welcome back to Gotians Games. Welcome back to another video game honest review. And in today's video game review, we are going over the game Eternity: The Last Unicorn, available now on PS4 as well as PC. This game was given to me to play and do a review on. It's taken me a little bit to actually get a chance to do this. It's been in the making for a bit, but I finally have the chance to do this. I sat down, been playing the game for about a couple hours now, and so we're gonna go over things that I like about the game, things that I don't like about the game, and whether or not this is a game that you consider purchasing. So make sure you guys are hitting that like button, subscribing if you guys are new, and let's get into this game, guys. Alright, Eternity: The Last Unicorn. Now, this game is a little interesting. It's an action RPG, and it's inspired by Norse mythology. As you can see here, like, my character that I'm using is an elf. She's a Valkyrie. Apparently, there's two characters that you can choose from, which one is the elf that I'm using right now, and the other is a Viking Bjorn. Now, in the beginning, so depending on who you choose, so like since I'm using her, I've already seen Bjorn in the game. I'm not gonna spoil anything if you guys do decide to play the game, but this game, it's playing it, it reminds me of a couple of games like kind of mashed together. One kind of Zelda-esque, because as you play through it, you got to solve puzzles in order to progress through the different dungeons, and it reminds me of like old school games that I used to play, like Shadowgate or Etrian Odyssey. And in a way, it reminds me of those games because of how I imagine, like, if the game was not in first person. So if you ever played Shadowgate or Shadowgate 64 on the Nintendo 64, you would understand what I mean. Shadowgate, you have to go and you have to solve different puzzles in order to progress through the dungeons. And so I kind of imagine, like, if the game wasn't in first person, this is how it would be. Now, on top of that, let's go over the things that I do like about the game. Now, I like the environment, the way that they design the environments. It's very, very beautiful. Like, it's a very well made game environmentally. They did an extremely good job at you know, putting details into, like, the stone walls, for example. When you're outside in the forest area, you know, the trees and the way that the water moves, everything is gorgeous in that regard. And then on top of that, you have the sound effects, like running through the water, when you're attacking with your sword, like that's all really well done. Now, in regards to that, besides the background, the background's great. The character models, though, are kind of a little lacking, in my opinion. If I was able to actually get a better view, let's see here. Well, that's not really, but the character models are kind of a little lacking. They kind of remind me of maybe late PS2 or PS3 era graphics, which is not necessarily a bad thing, except for the fact that along with that type of graphics, you also have the controls that go with it, and the controls, they do feel a little lacking. Like, they don't feel as smooth or as fluid as even a PS3 game would. You know, it's one of those things where it makes it hard to fight enemies because the controls feel slow. As you can see, I'm going to fight a huge enemy right now. And so, as far as the combat goes, you have basically three buttons. You have a medium or light attack, you have a heavy attack, and then you have a dodge. Trust me, you will be spamming that dodge button. The other problem with the controls here, it's actually not so much a problem with the controls as it is a problem with the combat itself. okay, the hitboxes are very weird. Sometimes the attack will register, sometimes they don't, even if it's a direct hit. Other times, the enemy will, like, not have even remotely touched you, and you're getting hit because some magical hitbox that you're in. So it's kind of a weird situation as far as the combat goes. I feel like it could have been done a little bit better, maybe kind of delay it just a tad, so that way you can kind of work out those kinks. But I mean, other than that, as like the controls, the character movement feels fine. The dodging, you know, fair enough. The dodging is actually pretty spot on. It's the attacking part that actually feels a little clunky. So honestly, you won't have a problem dodging because the dodging is actually really spot on. You could even attack cancel going into a dodge, which is actually a really good thing because it actually saved my butt fighting a boss. So you can see here, like, so I can actually cancel my attack movement, which is like, oh wow, yeah, that's the problem. The attacks themselves, as you saw, like, it's slow. So the attacks are slow, and it makes it hard to be able to do the combat and everything. But if you attack cancel, then you're okay, but you have to register the hit. So if you don't register the hit, then there's no point in canceling that attack. Luckily, there's two ways of saving. There's your actual saving, and then there's your checkpoints. The other thing too that I don't like is as soon as enemies spawn, they can, like, straight up attack them without even fully spawning yet. It's a weird thing that they did in this game. I don't know why they did it. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but that gives the enemies actually a bit of invincibility for a moment. What am I getting hit with? What was I getting hit with? You saw that? So that's what I'm talking about. It's some weird things that are in this game. I don't know. I'll say they're bugs. Like, just might as well say what it is. They're bugs. And I feel like if they would have delayed it just a tad, then they could have gotten all those bugs out. The music is nice. The music reminds me of, like, World of Warcraft. Very, very mellow. See that again. As soon as the enemies spawn, they can straight up attack. So with that, I would say the difficulty is pretty up there, but not even so much that it's because it's difficult, but because the controls are weird. I don't know if it has the same effect on PC. It might play better on PC. That's the thing I don't know. I don't have it on PC. I have it on PS4. But it's definitely a drawback from it because the game relies heavily on combat. And then there's a crafting system in this game where you have to kind of craft items in order to progress, so you kind of have to fight the enemies. And if you don't, then you're going to be in some trouble because you won't be able to progress. And then on top of that, you got to collect the items that you see on the field, so of course you have to fight the enemies. Now another cool thing that's in this game is there are what's called finishers or finishing moves. So whenever there's an X over the enemy, you just go ahead and push X and boom, that'll finish the enemies off. Now there's a currency in this game that you use to trade in or buy, you know, items such as healing items or crafting items, things like that, which again you're gonna need. And then as you know, as you defeat enemies, they'll drop the materials that you trade in to the vendor. They'll also drop HP shards so you can recover your health. But I mean, like, I feel like this game is a little more difficult than what it's intended to be. Now it's not a bad game. I just feel like it should be patched if they can do that. That's what I want from this game. If they can patch the combat, I would feel like this game is a little better off. There's a lot of lore in this game, especially for Norse mythology. So if you are into Norse mythology, then you will probably really like this game, regardless of how it feels. Like the controls, honestly, the controls on my PS4 feel like PS2, PS3 controls, and not even like, honestly, as far as like PS3 controls go, PS3 controls for the most part are better than what this game feels like. I could keep talking about the controls, but there's more to it than in this game than just the controls. You know, you level up your characters, you level up your skills, or you get new skills. You can you level up weapons. There's a whole bunch of different things. As you progress through it, you'll get new weapons. That's why I said it feels kind of like a Zelda game as well, because you find new weapons, you find new abilities as you progress through the game. The game, from what they said, the game is about 12 hours of gameplay. I mean, maybe on the first playthrough, because then the second playthrough, maybe you'll do it a little bit faster. But if the game also feels like it's very linear so far. So there's not a lot of backtracking. There's not too much world exploring yet. I don't know if that changes as you progress through the game. As I said, I've only been playing it for a couple hours at this point. And at this point, there's not a lot of backtracking. It's been very linear so far. Which doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. Linear is not terrible. And, as far as the story goes, there's four unicorns. They tell you in the beginning, there's 4 unicorns that they have magical powers. And I'm sorry that, like, my allergies are going crazy, and I apologize for that. Anyways, the unicorns, I believe, have been disappearing. And there's one left, and that one has been found by the fairies. It's cursed by witchcraft with a damaged horn. And so the elves, being afraid of the curse, handed it over to a young elf to protect the unicorn, and that's where the story begins. I like the fact that there's puzzles. I do. I love puzzles in games, especially games like this. And it's more of like thinking puzzles. So you don't have, there's not like, they don't give you the straight up answer for it. So you kind of have to think about how to solve the puzzles, which is always nice. But overall the game, it's not a terrible game, but it's not overly fantastic either. I would say, it's passable. It would be better if they were able to implement some sort of fixes into the bugs, fixes into the combat, kind of make it a little bit more fluid. Because as it is, it's you rely on that dodge button that doesn't necessarily work 100% of the time. The hitboxes are usually off balance, I should say. So sometimes even if you get out of the range, you still get hit. What is that? Like, I just get hurt out of nowhere. So that's what I'm saying. It feels very weird sometimes. So the game is currently available. Like I said, it's I believe $19.99 in both the PlayStation Store and Steam. So if you want to check it out, you can. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button, subscribing if you guys are new, and let me know what you guys think of this game down in the comment section below, just based off of what you've seen me play. With that, guys, I will catch you all later. You guys have a great rest of your day. Peace out, guys.